Now, just in case you're wondering what happens to one of these Henry 22 rifles if you feed around into the tube backwards and then run it through the action, well, there you have it, folks. Long story short, neighbor's kid wasn't paying attention. Did pretty much have to take the entire gun apart to get that out, so try your best not to do that. But that's really not what we're here to talk about today. Rather, we are here to talk about something wrong with a firearm and what we're going to do to fix it, but it's going to be completely different than an ammunition-related malfunction. So forget about the Henry. If you look over my shoulder here, you will see my Stevens Model 334, which has been extremely popular here on this channel. Lots of y'all have watched the stuff that we put out on that, and I thank you for it. Please continue to show your support for the work we're doing, and I will continue to try to bring fun new projects out for you. This one's not really a fun project. Rather, let me rephrase that. It will be a fun project. It's not a fun reason why we have to do it. Now, for those of you that have been following along with the 334, you'll know that right out of the gate, the biggest issue that we had with it was with the trigger. The trigger pull was heavy. It kind of sucked. And we wound up doing something about it that worked okay. No issues with that. I don't recommend that you do what we did, but if you were going to, you'd have to watch the video on our Rumble channel to see how we did it. YouTube doesn't allow us to show things like that on this platform, and we respect it because we're in their house, so to speak. That's not what we're here to talk about either. Nor are we here to talk about that ridiculous optic that you see on top of it. That is the Discovery OPT that we tested a couple of weeks ago. It's a great scope, but good grief, you see how big it is there. It's just way too big and heavy, and it sits too high in the rings that came with it. So I was getting ready to put the other scope back on it, but that's not what we're here to talk about either. But what we're here to talk about is something that I found when I went to do that just a couple of days ago. Now I'm going to throw up some pictures so you can see that the finish on that Model 334 is in need of immediate attention. I was kind of surprised when I came and took it off the wall here to see how much surfaced rust was not only on the receiver, but it's also all over the barrel. To put it in perspective, if you look at that Savage axis that is directly above it, it's about 2 feet away from it on the wall. Those are known to have issues with the finish rusting on them. That one is fine. If you look over here at my Savage Model 110, the bluing looks great on it. There's no issues with that one. So it's not that it's too humid in here or anything like that. It's just that finish is not holding up to the humidity here in East Texas. And considering that's where I live and I'm not going to do anything about that in the immediate future, I'm going to have to do something about this gun. Now, there are a variety of different options. Some of them are really good. Some of them are so-so. I'm going to explain to you here real quick what I'm going to do with it. This is not a how-to on applying a finish or anything like that. I've got videos that I've already done on that topic. I will probably document the footage of the breakdown of the Stevens when I do it here in a couple of days, but that's not what this video is for. This rather is to talk about what can we do about the finish on this little rifle that's just rusting up. Well, there are a couple of good options. I've got one of them here and I've got one of them here, and then I've got another one that we'll talk about in a second that I don't really consider a good option for this rifle. Now, before I get too far into this, I will tell you that either of these finishes is pretty good. I've done these, I've done those, and I've been satisfied with the results of both of them. And don't think that I'm promoting one over the other for a durability or ease of use reason or anything like that. I'm going to kind of cover a couple of the differences with them so that you can make those kind of informed decisions for yourself. On this side, I've got DuraBlue from Lauer Custom Weaponry. I've already done a rifle on this channel with that finish. If you remember the video I did on my Mauser model 375 H&H, that's what we put on that one to curb the corrosion and pitting that was found on the metal of that rifle. Over here, I've got Cerakote in graphite black. I've got enough of this left to do one more rifle to action if I don't screw it up. And I was planning on doing the Savage Axis and all of the metal hardware on that Oryx chassis that it is in with that finish. So I really didn't want to use that on the Stevens because I already had a plan for that. But that's not the only reason I didn't want to use it on the Stevens. The DuraBlue, while it is a two-part epoxy finish, it is a paint that's being applied. As you could see in the last video that I did on that product, it really does kind of look like bluing. And going with the traditional walnut stock that we have on the 334, I wanted to maintain that traditional rifle look. The Cerakote, while it's a fine product, just looks more like a painted finish when you're done. On most modern weapons, that's not an issue, but on something with nice wood, it's better, I think, if it looks like a nice glossy blue. Now, Cerakote is a lot quicker product to use than the Duracoat or DuraBlue. They are both two-part epoxies. The difference is in how they cure. DuraBlue, Duracoat, the Lauer weaponry products require a significant amount of time to cure. They really about 3 to 4 weeks to fully cure. You also have to be mindful. You don't want to try to apply them in the rain. That can mess up the finish. Once they're fully cured, they are extremely durable. If you look right up there, I'll take a picture of it and put up in case you can't see it right now. My Saiga 12. I coated that one like 13, 14 years ago, and the finish is in great shape. It has been 100% completely protected from the elements by the Lauer custom weaponry DuraBlue finish, or Duracoat finish that I put on it years ago. But again, as I said, be mindful of the fact that you have to disassemble it, you have to coat it, you have to let those parts cure, and then you have to reassemble it after it's cured. So you're going to have the gun taken apart for a considerable amount of time. You have to keep track of little parts while they're taken apart for a long time. So it's just things that you have to take into consideration. Whereas with the Cerakote, it's pretty much cured as soon as it cools down from the oven. But you have to put it in the oven. And on something like a handgun, that's not a big deal. You just send your wife to the store and use her oven in the kitchen while she's gone, and you can get away with it. It's not the best thing to do, but I have done it, and it does work. But realistically, most rifle-length barreled actions just won't fit in your conventional kitchen oven. We have a purpose-built oven that we made for the purpose of curing rifles here at the place. But I had to build that. I had to buy the stuff to make it work, and it wasn't cheap. Now I have to store it, and that's something that you have to take into consideration. So while the cost of the product might be about the same, you might wind up spending a little extra on the Cerakote up front to do the preparation. Also, another difference with the products, Duracoat is pretty forgiving on how you prepare the metal so long as you get all of the grease off of it and you scuff the surface a little bit. You can easily use a piece of aluminum oxide sandpaper and scuff it up enough to where it will work really good. I've done that. I've got weapons that I've coated that way that the finish is still good more than 10 years later. So believe me, firsthand experience, that works. Cerakote specifically requests that you gouge the surface of the metal with aluminum oxide, but via a sandblaster. So again, do you have a blast cabinet or do you have a sandblast gun and a bucket of aluminum oxide? I mean, you could spend a couple $100 on that stuff just getting ready to apply the Cerakote. So Duracoat is easier to apply in the sense that you don't have to make as much investment into the equipment to handle it. But Cerakote is easier in the sense that it's ready to go a lot sooner. So just keep those two things in mind if you're deciding on coating a weapon to prevent things like the rust issues that we have there. Another option that I do not recommend, but it does work, is the rattle can approach. You'll see over there on the shelf, I'll put it up here across the top. I've got several cans of camouflaged spray paint that if you clean and prep a weapon, you can apply those, let them cure a little bit, and they work. I did that to the Maverick 88 with those cans here a while back for a kid that was on a budget, and it worked out. I mean, he's happy with it. It looks great for what it is. It's on a, you know, a tactical shotgun. It's not on something that you're trying to keep looking really nice. And I don't think it is a good long-term durable product. You know, I mean, the spray paint's not going to hold up like either of these finishes. So I'm going to try to wrap this up now because I've gone on quite a bit. But just know if you have an issue with a weapon like this Model 334 rusting up on you, take care of it as soon as you can. I highly recommend either a Durablue or a Cerakote, or a Duracoat or a Cerakote, I should say, because they're both fantastic firearm finishes. Just know that there are some limitations with them, and you know, take your time. And if you don't get it right the first time, you can always take it off and try it again. We're going to be doing the Duracoat on that rifle probably tomorrow, and I'll try to put out a video on that as well. Hope you got something out of this. Let me know down below. Until next time, take care. God bless.